Good morning, listeners. You are listening to this on Monday, March 11th, 2024, but we were recording this on Sunday, March 10th. My name is Hanson, better known as Fryddy online, and I'm here with my dad, the OG Frid, today, recording episode 10, double digits, 10 of a New Era podcast. Dad, what would you like to say to the listeners this morning or this afternoon for us?
This afternoon. Well, I mean, listeners, I hope you're going to be adjusted with that spring ahead. I mean, it was great this morning. I mean, dogs didn't wake us up early. All of a sudden, to me, it's weird. When we spring ahead, and I know the sunrise is at the same damn time, at the same angle and all that shit, it just seems like it gets lighter quicker now. I mean, yes, it was pitch dark at 7, it seemed, but then all of a sudden 7:30 was light, and 8:00 very light.
Yeah.
I don't know.
I didn't even, I know everybody.
You were still in bed, probably.
Well, yeah, I was still in bed, but also the UFC event went so freaking late. I think it was up for when it changed. I think I remembered it because, about to go to sleep. And then I was like, oh, yeah, 1:59. And then I looked down. And it was 3:30. And I was like, I know I haven't been watching TikToks for an hour and a half. What happened there? And then I woke up this morning and I was like, oh, yeah, it was the spring forward. That makes sense.
Yeah. Yep. So, listeners, I hope you're at least recovered a little bit here listening to us on Monday. Full day after.
Hopefully so. So for this episode, we got a good amount of stuff. We got a segment that we pulled over from last week that we weren't able to get to. We're going to start off with the weekend recap. Keep in mind, the weekend is still going. There are still sports. So we don't got everything, but we got some stuff. But I'm excited for this one. I think it's going to be a good one, yeah.
Yeah, I feel like I'm just going to throw some stuff out that I got pulled up right here that we're just going to talk about again, like we would if I would have picked up the phone and just called you. I think, yes, I love the segment that we have, but I feel like I'm just going to throw some things out at you and see how you react. Especially, I know that we're going to talk right here about the Bruins and the Celtics, and you say that they stopped their skids, and we said that the Bruins were going to go 2-1-1, and they went 3-0-1. Beautiful game yesterday. We ended up
that was great.
Mom was absolutely enjoying that. We were watching that downstairs on the big TV.
Well, it was. Zaka had the good.
Oh, Pavel.
He turned it on. But there was actually, I think it was his. It might have been the second one, the deflection one, off the goal.
Yep.
Oh my god, dude, they were firing on all cylinders yesterday. That was cool.
Yeah, and they got the two, made some moves. We had hoped for a second line forward. They got Pat Noonan. I think is that
Maroon?
I'm sorry. And I pulled up a little thing here. Yeah. Pat says, I feel like I'm already hated here.
Well, wasn't he? I think he was the guy that was part of the 2019 Blues team.
No.
The other guy.
Tampa Bay Lightning team.
That 20, was it.
Yeah. He was with the Blues in 20 and 21, yeah.
Oh, so then that's when... Oh, no, that's not when we played him. We played him 2019.
Yeah. But, okay. He has 3 Stanley Cups. So...
brings in good experience and good veteran presence into the locker room there.
And then we ended up getting a defenseman, real defenseman. Yep. Not an offensive defenseman, but even watching just yesterday, they were just flying. And I guess the big thing is we don't give up Allmark.
Yeah, I was kind of not anticipating it. I think he's gone in the offseason. I think there's going to be a team that makes a bid that we can't refuse. I just think at this point, it's like there's no real reason to trade him yet.
Right. Let's ride. And listening, I'm sorry, but listening to yesterday's telecast that was on ESPN, so it wasn't the Bruins one, it was the ESPN one. And they had mentioned you have the best tandem in the NHL. Ride them in the playoffs.
Yeah, exactly. That's what I'm saying. There's no reason to get rid of him yet. I mean, like, you don't lay out the brakes with either of them if you freaking switch between the two. So I think there's no reason now, and you keep him and try to make this run, and then who knows? I think even if we were to win it, I think he would still be gone. If you lose it and it's close, maybe there's a discussion, bring him back. But I don't know. There's a lot of other pieces that have to fall into place before those conversations are handled in a couple months, obviously.
Yeah. And, with no real draft picks and what experts were saying out there that I read, not a great farm system for, you have just the Providence Bruins, but, well, you do have players in other divisions within hockey, but you don't have any draft picks. You don't have assets. Allmark is going to be...
He's the thing to try to build the farm system back up. I mean, at a certain point, like, we've got this winning culture and it's working, evident of this year, but I mean, there's going to be a point when the window closes. And I mean, specifically for guys like, keeping Marchand in here. I mean, the window probably extends to however long he's going, maybe another 2 or 3, 4, I don't know, somewhere around there. So you got to look for, trying to build after that. I think Allmark is the piece that starts it, and hopefully we get some picks and don't just move them away like we always do. But then there's also a guy maybe like DeBrusque that I was hearing some rumblings last week of getting rid of. I like DeBrusque a lot.
But he ended up, 2 points too.
Yeah, he was great yesterday, but it's like, at a certain point, when you don't have anything in the farm system, when you don't have assets, you're going to have to let go of some of these guys that you don't want to, but, we'll see. I mean, nothing big, nobody big went on the deadline on Friday. But still,
And that's what they were talking about Pittsburgh. I mean, Pittsburgh's in that, they're the first oldest club. Second? Okay.
Yeah. Edmonton's above them. They said that.
That's right. Yeah. Well, I wasn't paying too much attention to that. I guess too much whiskey at the time. But, yeah, I mean, they're in that real spot where you got to get rid of guys. I mean, you're sitting at 64 points, 28, 26. And 64, not even close to making these playoffs.
I mean, I don't even think they know what they're doing, dude. Like, at this point, it's kind of just like we just got to ride it out and let Crosby retire here. We're not going to move on from him. He's the kid, like, for his 3 titles. You can't.
No,
so it's just like you're in this weird limbo of like, fuck, what do we do until that happens? But quite frankly, I don't care about the Penguins. So, like, I couldn't give a shit, whatever they do.
Well, we're sitting here, 91 points, second most points in the NHL, tied with the Canucks, below the Panthers right now, which is good. We can keep away from them a little bit here in the playoffs.
Yeah, and stay on the opposite.
Yeah.
Well, actually, I don't even think that's it. I think if it were to end, we'd play them second round. I think either way that it's going to go, we're going to play them second round, I'm pretty sure. If we're the one or if they're the one. They freaking... I hope they get knocked out by somebody else. I don't want to play them again. They fucking added Tarasenko on Friday for nothing. Absolutely robbed Ottawa. That was crazy. The Canes made a lot of great additions. It was like a lot of these teams that I feel like, made... It was the Canes. They got Gensel from the Penguins, I think, and they cockblocked us because I was hearing stuff all Friday morning about like a 3-way trade between, I think it was like Pittsburgh and Vancouver and Boston or something like that. So it would have been cool, but I don't know. They turned it around definitely. I think they said the stat during the game yesterday. They were like 5-6-2 or something since the All-Star.
Yep.
5-6-3. So it was a good week to turn that around, but we'll see what happens. They've got like 16 games, 17 games or something. They put up
66. Yeah, 66 right now. So yeah, 82, 16 left.
Yeah, they put up the graphic yesterday about the Western Conference like playoff picture, and it was like games left 20, 19, and I was like, damn, we are so close to playoff hockey. Like it's very, very cool. Well, on to the other winter sport. I want to start off this by sincerely apologizing to our Boston Celtics.
I was going to bring that up, but you
I almost started the episode with it before I even did the intro. Those losses are on me. Tuesday and the Cavs and the Nugget, that's on me. I jinxed us. Put up the episode literally naming it the Celtics haven't lost a game in a month for episode 9, and then a day later, without Donovan Mitchell, without Max Strus, without a push-off call on Tatum at the end, and then they lose, and then they lose again to the Nuggets. That one's on me, hand up. But
maybe that's why it hasn't been one of our most listened to podcasts, because people saw it after the fact and they lost and saw what you said.
Maybe. Stop. Don't make me feel bad. I already apologized. We're past it now because we won yesterday, so it's fine. And they look good yesterday. They're back on their groove. Hopefully, who do they have? Let's see. Who do they have here coming up this week? Did you watch any of that game yesterday?
I did. Yep.
Yeah. we had a pretty good setup. Me and Sav, when we were watching, I had the UFC event projected up on the wall, and then we had the Celtics game on the TV, and it's like just
nice.
It was great. It was Sports Central. We got the Trailblazers tomorrow at 10:30. We got the Jazz on Tuesday, so back to back. We got the Suns again on Thursday at home, and then we have the Wizards next Sunday.
So they're going from Portland to Utah.
Yeah.
I think a couple of weeks ago, when Doc Rivers started there, and he had mentioned they went from Dallas to Utah. That's a hard trip.
Yeah.
I think he was just making those. He was making those damn excuses people were saying.
Maybe.
Going from Dallas to Utah, that's hard. So we're going Portland to Utah. I guess that's per Doc Rivers. That's a hard one.
On the back-to-back, who knows?
Oh no!
Pull out the good book of Doc River excuses.
Yeah.
But
not speaking excuses, but so I was looking at our Facebook page, and no one responded anything. But I was just scrolling and saw a guy just making a post, a little comment. Jason does not step up to the big games. I'm just looking at here, and what the fuck does he? I mean, now he said this Friday night. Okay, so obviously you didn't get yesterday's game, but 42 minutes, 11 for 28, 5 for 9 from 3, led with 29 points.
You're talking about yesterday.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, it was different. They're talking about the Nuggets game. And I know what they mean because I've seen it all throughout the year. And it's also just it's a media driven point too, that a lot of people like to poke holes in Tatum, and he plays for a Boston team, so he gets the hate and stuff. And so there's this there's the story that he can't finish in big moments and can't be the clutch guy. But, there's times where I'll believe it for a little, and then there's also times where I'm off the train too. So, I mean, I get why he said it. That's fine to me.
But you can't be a top 5 potential MVP. You can't be what all the media, Stephen A. Smith, everyone's saying he's could be the face of the NBA, and you still have this shit. I mean, give the kid. He does 29 points yesterday, 42 minutes.
Yeah, no, I know. I saw a TikTok about an hour ago of some guys having a conversation, a heated debate about KD still being better than Tatum. And I was like, that conversation, I think, was put to bed 3 or 4 years ago when we swept Kevin Durant's Nets and Kyrie's Nets in the first round. But then they're going, oh, well, Tatum can't make big shots. I'm taking Kevin Durant to do it now. I'm like, no, I'm fucking not. Like,
No.
you know, we can poke holes in Tatum and not making the clutch shots, blah, blah, blah. But, you know, we can also still go back to that game 6 last year against Philly, down 3-2, where he puts up fucking 51 and went nuclear.
He's willing to take the big shots. He's willing to put it, and yes, he was 39% from the field, 11 for 28, but he's willing to take those shots. And
Yeah,
I'm wondering if it's more than, yes, it is Boston Celtics. People hate Boston sports and the Celtics. But I wonder if it goes deeper too with the Duke thing too.
for sure. I mean, he was hated as soon as he was drafted, and then you put him in Boston, and it's double. But I mean, when you say he's willing to take the shots, he is. But I think that's expected. I mean, he's our star guy. He's a top player in the league. You're expected to have to take those shots. At the same time, it's specifically for this year. Not anybody is going to make the big shot anyways. I mean, you look at some of the best shooters. Steph Curry, notoriously bad clutch shooter. Can't fuck it at the end of games and stuff like that. Notoriously bad. But we don't poke holes at Curry for that. Now, granted, yes, he has 4 rings and whatever. But I think even in this year, if it comes down in the playoffs to, Tatum missing a shot and we lose a game because of it, I think I'm fine with it, just because the way that this team is built and the way that they operate, if they're at full strength in the playoffs, I don't think we're going to get to a game 7, hopefully. And so I'm not worried about Tatum missing the shot, because it's not an elimination game for us. So, I mean, that could also come back and be a freezing cold take in the playoffs, and we could go down 3-0, and we'll talk about that then. But, the way that it's going now, I think we'll be fine. It does go to show, though, the 2 losses to the Cavs and the Nuggets, playoff caliber teams, that, you can beat us. We're not unbeatable, but we're damn close. We're still juggernauts. Like, you got to play a great game to beat us, or we just got to underwhelm. And every team underwhelms every now and again, but we're not going to do it that consistently, I think.
No. And yes, in the playoffs, you're playing the same team, and, hopefully your coaching staff can make adjustments and whatnot. But, when you have Jaylen Brown, who, again, I just pulled up some stats because it was pointed out that he made history yesterday, being the 3rd Celtic to hit over 1,000 3-pointers. So
only the 3rd?
Only the 3rd. It's Paul Pierce.
Larry and Brown?
Nope. Let me pull it up right here. It's Paul Pierce.
Allen?
Paul Pierce, Jason Tatum, Jaylen Brown, and good old, I wonder if you remember this guy, Antoine Walker.
I remember Antoine Walker.
And then Marcus Smart.
3rd.
Yeah. There's only 3.
5 guys.
I'm just naming them down, but there's only 3 in the history that have made over 1,000 3-pointers for the Celtics. Paul Pierce, Jason Tatum, and Jaylen Brown. Next on the list with 937 is Antoine Walker.
Oh, okay. I was like, well, where the fuck are you getting these other names from? Okay, makes sense. All right, wow. Well, that's awesome. That's sneaky 1,000 too. People have never really gave him his props of being a decent 3-point shooter or anything.
Absolutely not. No. When he came out of Cal, no. Yeah.
Yeah, he's never touted as that guy, that shooter, but he's gotten better year after year. Well, you mentioned history, and I forgot to mention this when we were talking about the Bruins, but another one this weekend that came from the game yesterday, Pasternak, 3 consecutive 40-goal seasons. Isn't that crazy? Generational guy.
Yeah. And what was great and really, I think, stand out in yesterday's game and then beyond, he is just setting everybody else up.
Mm-hmm.
His playmaking has just
gone to another, and it was good last year. It was great.
But it's another level.
Complete another level this year, which is awesome because, with some of the guys that we lost, you need to fill that playmaking ability somewhere. But, all right, enough of jumping between those ones. Anything else about Bruins or Celtics before we move on?
No, I still stand by a double this year.
I love it. Well, the next thing, God, I don't want to talk about this again, dude. We did this a fucking month ago. Duke Carolina played Saturday. Man, fuck Cormac Ryan. All right, first off, this guy, 31 points. This fucking ripped 4 threes, 4 out of 5 threes to start the game. I don't even know that game. The game a month ago, I came on the pod and said, just played soft, didn't want it, just got beat. Yes. Yesterday was so frustrating because of the fact that they did the same exact shit that they did for all 40 minutes in the first game, but they only did it for the first 8. But against a team like Carolina, you can't even give them 8. You can't give them 2 minutes of shit. You go down 17-4, whatever, to start the game. It's so frustrating, and they could have came back and won the game still, turned it on in the second half, just soft defensively in the first, giving up too many shots and stuff. But it's fine because we'll see them again next Saturday. We will see them again in the ACC championship. We're not getting fucking swept by this team. It's not going to happen because we're going to have a third.
Is it good to get that loss out right now? Because, you're heading into tournaments.
No.
You never want to lose to UNC.
No, it is in Cameron. You lost the first game. It is the regular season finale. You had a chance to split the ACC regular season title. No, it's not okay. You could have won that and lost second round of the ACC tournament on Wednesday, and that would have been fine. You don't lose that fucking game. Sucks. Coach K was in the building. Cooper Flagg, our number 1 recruit next year, was in the building. You don't lose that game. I actually put something on Twitter 10 minutes before they had that. They showed Coach K and Cooper Flagg. I said, Coach K and Cooper Flagg in the building? Yeah, it's wraps. Go to hell, Carolina. And then we still lost. So bad take by me, I guess.
Is that another one that you have to apologize for?
I'm not apologizing for shit. I still hate the team. We still should have won the game. We'll beat them on Saturday. That's all I want to talk about this game.
Now, if you beat them on Saturday, are you a 2?
Yeah, I think they were talking about it yesterday that both Duke and Carolina, even if neither win the ACC tournament, win a game or two, probably 2 games, I'd say. Because that puts them into the semis, I think. That they're on the 2 line.
Mm-hmm.
I think if Duke were to have won yesterday, goes through the ACC tournament, and then beats Carolina again in the championship, that would have been their only way onto the 1 line. I don't think they're getting up there. I think Carolina might be able to. They're in that 5-6 range, and the Tennessee loss.
Yeah,
the Tennessee loss yesterday definitely helped them. If they win the ACC tournament, I think there's a argument for them, but I don't know. It'll be tight because there's 5 or 6 teams at the top that could be the 1 seeds. So championship week here will be, or conference tournament week here will be big to see. But we'll know next week. I
got to ask something because it looks like there's a new addition to your jersey row back there. Is that a Duke shirt?
It's been there.
It has?
Yeah, it's always been there.
Oh, well, because it's white and you got that white. I have never noticed that.
Yeah.
Till now.
In football season, it's the ECU football one, but.
Oh, so that's it. Okay.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
that's
you just put that
these four stay year round, and then that one switches.
Oh, yeah.
You
need an ECU baseball one. How's that program doing?
Pretty well. Won yesterday. I think they're playing right now, actually, for game 3 against Liberty. Let me check. But they won the first 2, 9-4, I think. Yeah, 9-4 so far this week. That was lost last Sunday. Only played this series against Liberty. They are playing right now, huh? Is it? Yeah. Watch ESPN Plus. So we'll see. I'll pull this up while we're talking here. But another thing going on right now is they're up 5-4, top 8th. Nice. Is the Arnold Palmer Invitational. Obviously, we don't have too much to talk about this as it's going live, and we're not watching it, but we are watching the scoreboards. We've got Scheffler in the lead right now at 11 under, Clark at 9, Zalatorius tied third with Lowry at 7 under. You said you were watching a little of this yesterday?
Yeah. I mean, Will Zalatoris had, I think, Thursday and Friday lead, and was in the lead when I was watching yesterday. And obviously, it's that dreaded 54-hole lead. He falls off. Scotty Scheffler will be potentially the first big name in the PGA to win this year. I mean, Wyndham Clark is obviously a big name after winning a major last year, but we've had plenty of rookies and come from behinds and, players not projected to win any of these first couple of tournaments. And looks like Scotty, looks like he's got his game going right now. 2 under through 4, or 2 under through 7. Yep.
Yeah. If he can, put it together, that's 2 out of the last 3. He won it in 22 also. But, all right, well, we'll see. Obviously, we won't be able to talk about this tomorrow and update the pod on what happened there, but y'all can check it out for yourselves too, I'm sure.
I would put the money on Scotty to finish off and winning if this was going on tomorrow.
Yeah, I was about to say the next thing, at least for us here.
Yeah.
And we've got some other North Carolina listeners, is the fact that the sports gambling is legalized tomorrow at noon. When you'll be listening to this, it'll be today at noon. But we got a bunch of fun like bonus bets and promotions and stuff for the new NC bettors. So you'll be hearing a lot more odds talk, a lot more lines and spreads and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, when we talk March Madness next week and we do our bracket on the pod. Oh yeah, we're gonna be looking at some of that too. It's a lot of fun. We're looking for a sportsbook partnership. Please hit our DMs. So next order of business here. UFC 299 was last night. I know you're not too big into the UFC, but you need to, man, because one of those, if you see a card like yesterday, this was historically good. It's crazy how good it is with UFC 300 coming up next month on the 13th, and that card is loaded too. But I watched the whole card with Sav here, and it was, the whole main card, cut some of the prelims too, because we started watching that after the Duke game ended. But absolutely amazing card. Sean O'Malley pieced up Cheeto Vera for full 5 rounds, retained his bantamweight championship. Dustin Poirier knocked out rising prospect Benoit Saint Denis in an absolutely incredible. He looked like he was kind of getting pieced up in the first round, came back out, knocked him out in the second. What else do we have there? Michael Venom Page, big Bellator star in the MMA world, in his UFC debut. He's a weird fucking fighter. Really weird. Was jumping around like the weirdest thing I've seen in the octagon. But he got a decision, or he got a win by decision. You've got, oh my God, Peter Yan beat, I can't even say his name, but some other guy in bantamweights. And then there was one more that I'm missing that I just completely jumped over, and I can't think of it now. But it was just truly, Burns, JDM, Jack Della Maddalena came back after with an incredible way to get out of a grapple and knocks out Gilbert Burns to now tie Ian Gary in that division for the longest active win streak. So it was a good weekend for fighting for the UFC, and a lot of these guys that won, it can set up some, and who they called out after they won, could set up some really juicy fights coming up at the back end of the year. So If you don't know about it yet, you should get into it a little before UFC 300 and see this absolutely historical event that's going to go on in Las Vegas on the 13th.
I mean, I enjoy trying to watch some of the prelims on ESPN Plus. Not into paying for, the main card and all, but it sounds as if I was going to say maybe we bring Sav on as our UFC main.
She doesn't even. We were talking about it. She was like,
"Sounds like you know enough."
Yeah, she doesn't like know like the guys or anything or like what's going on, but like Sav, when she sees a knockout, like she's like, "Fuck yeah!" Like she loves the action of it, so it's fun to watch the games with her. But
and we should say Sav is my daughter, your sister. So just for you listeners that don't know,
we've talked about Sav before. They know.
I think we did briefly. Yeah.
Yeah. All right. Well, that's our weekend recap. We'll move into some other stuff here, some other points that we have. One that happened, the biggest news of the New England sports world of the weekend, I'd say, or of the last week, just happened a couple hours ago. Mac Jones traded to the Jaguars for 2024 6th-round pick. The Mac Jones era is finally over, as if it wasn't already in New England. I'm fine. I'm fine taking a draft pick here, right? But
yeah, I mean, you have to get. I mean, you're not going to want to release them outright, and then lose whatever value you can get. There was not a tweet because I got to get on Twitter a little bit more, but there was a post I had saw that Bailey Zappi liked the trade.
Saw that. Yeah, the NFL post.
Yeah.
It was funny. I saw that, and then I looked in the comments, and everybody was like, "Man, get this fucking bum out of here too. Why is he liking this?" Like, and I was like, I mean, yeah, like you're not too far off, buddy. But weird. It's the Jags, I guess. I don't know.
Yeah.
That I didn't see the fit. I don't know if it's maybe. I mean, he's definitely going in there as the backup role. They might view him better than CJ Beathard then, but now you got two guys from the same class. Was Trevor in that same class?
No, I think Trevor was before. Yeah.
Trevor was with... No, wait. I think that's right. Because they had the 5... No, maybe not. Let's see. 2021, that's when Mac was, right? Yeah, it was. So, yeah. Trevor, Zach Wilson, Trey Lance, Justin Fields, Mac Jones. That was that year. So now you got two guys from the same draft class there. I don't know. Just weird. I don't know.
They're both on obviously rookie deals. And if Trevor is going to command too much to resign, you at least have a young guy who potentially could fit the system, and then you don't have to worry.
Maybe. I also saw somebody say, and I don't think this is probably the route they're going to go because they must have some plan by going for him. But some people were like, maybe they get him, beef him up in OTAs and
then unload him
preseason. Yeah, in preseason, see if you can get his stock up, and then see if you can like flip him for a 5th. Yeah. I don't think that's the route they're going to go. I don't think he's good enough that somebody's going to be like, sorry, we missed out on Mac Jones away from the Pats. Let's go get him from the Jags now. But
yeah,
who knows? Good luck to him, I guess. It didn't work. We kind of ruined him, right, in our system.
Yeah. Obviously, then now we're have to go quarterback with number 3. And I was listening to Pardon My Take, and actually, PFT was actually very concerned about the fact that he's got number 2, because if he goes Drake May, then we get Jaden Daniels. If he goes Jaden Daniels, we get Drake May. And he was saying whoever they don't take is going to be
the better one.
Yeah.
Because that's just the Commanders. But it also came out last week, and I think we've been knowing this was going to happen because Mayo has been talking about him so much, and I think Mayo wants Daniels to be his guy. But I thought there was a report that came out saying that the Pats, if they can't get Jaden at 3, will be trading back. if he's there at 3, we're taking him, I think, is the way that it's going to go about it. If he's not there, we probably trade back. And I don't know. I hope it's not like a JJ McCarthy thing there, but we'll see. I mean, we're not really coming up on this draft, but it'll be here before we know it. Actually, yeah. Is it at the end of March?
No, end of April.
End of April, right?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. 25th through 27th. All right. So, yeah, we still got some time, but we'll figure it out, and maybe it'll switch our mock draft. We'll probably do that in a couple weeks once we find the time with all the great sporting events happening around this time of the year.
March Madness.
Yeah, March Madness, Masters, all that good stuff. All right, on to a little Red Sox talk here. I'll kind of pair both these together. So first off, we got Brian Bello extended 6-year, $55 million contract, club option for 2030. And this move, it looks like it literally happened almost as a result of the fact that Lucas Giolito might be out for the season with a UCL tear. I don't think they've come out and they haven't came out and said anything yet. But he's getting, it says right now, headed to Alabama for a second opinion on his elbow. That was updated on the 6th. So nothing yet. But I mean, especially with pitchers, when you come out and you suspect UCL, it's probably a UCL. So he's probably gone. Which
even if it's not, you have some issue with your elbow. That's going to have him up and down off, on the 30-day, maybe a 60-day DL at some point during the year.
I'd almost rather it 60-day off rip and just, I mean, it's at least in our eyes, we don't know if we're going to be competing this year. I don't want to get, and granted, yes, we only signed him for 2 years, but if you just try to rush him back, we're going to fall into that same shit that we did with Chris Sale, dude, where it's just like a couple months on, oh, here's the hype. Maybe you get him in, he throws 2 games, you throw him back on IL and like back and forth. I think you sit Giolito until, if it isn't a full tear, until he's fine. If it is a full tear, he's out the year anyways and whatever. But that opens up the question here. I saw this on Bleacher Report, actually, when I was looking at the contract. So, if Giolito isn't in the picture, we're going to assume he's not. And as of right now, we don't have any word on Montgomery. We'll get into that in a second. Opening day dilemma, then. Do you want Bello or do you want Pivetta taking day 1?
I want Bello.
I think I do too. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, the kid showed up, plenty of games last year. It seemed like every time the Yankees were up against the Yankees, he was pitching and winning. So, yeah, I want Bello. I mean, I like, if we don't get Montgomery, Tanner Hulk's got to show up. Garrett Whitlock's got to show up. Nick Pavetta's got to show up. I mean, they're talking. I just saw this as we were getting on, and this is per. Let me scroll up. A story by Sports Grid staff members. This was 3 minutes ago. Boston Red Sox, the sleeper team of the American League East.
No, that's all I gotta say about it. I wish, but I don't think so. There's another thing here, like I mentioned about Montgomery and just we're gonna need to have some pitching help. This is a report from the 8th, courtesy of Fansided, is that he's saying the opportunity is certainly there for the Red Sox to make a play on Jordan Montgomery or Blake Snell, but even in these desperate times, they don't appear terribly interested in signing a top-level starter. Boston officials had a Zoom call with Montgomery a few weeks back. According to John Heyman, the two sides are still in contact with each other, but the Red Sox aren't willing to give the left-hander a 7-year deal. I guess
that's 7 years.
Distance, yep. Yeah. The length is what's holding us up. And it says instead they're more likely to target a short-term innings eater, such as Michael Lorenzen or Mike Clevenger. I like Mike Clevenger. That wouldn't be too bad. So I guess we talked about this last week, and we still have no update this week. We're still just at a stalemate, and we'll see. But I mean, freaking Morse, dude, he's got to get his guy signed. I know he's trying to play this big agent game, but dude, we are fucking 19 days away from opening day. Like these guys need to find a place to live. Like they don't know what they're doing for game one yet. They don't know how they're gonna shower before. Like, come on. Like,
But going back to your no to the surprise team, I mean, spring training wise, third best record, 600 winning percentage, 9-6.
Yeah, but I also think spring training's always a fluke every year. I mean, I hope it carries over. But the reason why I don't put too much faith, I guess, behind spring training is, if you think about it, everybody's not running their normal lineups. You're not running guys their usual run in the bullpen or starters, so you're not seeing how it could be, how a Bello handles his second and third time around the order,
That's
rather
what I
than
was
just the first.
Right. I was going to mention, I mean, that Rob
Snyder.
Thank you. When I was listening to him on the YouTube little thing that Red Sox put out when he was mic'd up, he was mentioning, we only get to see these guys one inning at a time. And then he put out another pitcher. Now, I mean, offensively, if you're putting up, I mean, they're not putting up scary offensive numbers. I mean, 4 wins. I mean, when they've won, it's 4 runs. But, I mean, offensively, I don't have a problem with the team right now.
But it's also, I mean, you go back to the point of, not seeing these pitchers for multiple innings. You also fall into, some of these guys, Devers only getting 2 at-bats or something. He's not going around 4 or 5 times. You don't get to see how these batters, if they dig themselves into a hole or if they're cold for their first 3 at-bats, how they're going to, change that later on in the late innings and be able to flip it around. You don't see the whole scheme of it, but hopefully it's warming them up enough that come the start of the year, it won't take us a month and a half to get up to speed, maybe a couple of weeks, whereas, last year was a so-and-so start, but it was just very mid all throughout until I think it was like July or August when we really started sinking. So hopefully we can just, kind of turn around and be able to get this team where it needs to be early enough, especially with some of these late additions that might be signing a week before opening day. So it's going to take a little to gel, but if they're able to gel throughout, we'll reevaluate this, obviously. But let's give it until end of April, and then we'll talk, and then we'll see how we're feeling about, can they be that sleeper team that you mentioned in episode 10? I think that's when I would be like, okay, or maybe a little into May.
I think you have to go into May, mid-May.
Probably mid-May.
If we're second or third, I mean, if we're in third, obviously that's a sleeper team right there. I'm not saying that we're going to make the playoffs, but if we can at least...
Well, the sleeper team, that's what a sleeper team would be. A sleeper team that you don't expect, that like a dark horse, and then make it.
Well, I'm saying for us, if we compete in the East and we're third, that's huge.
That is. I mean, it's the hardest division in baseball. Bleacher Report had something out there today saying, I think they said like the ceiling for this team, if everything goes right, would be a wild card berth, and I'd be fine with that.
Yeah.
But then who knows? Because you get in, you do the one wild card game, you potentially win that. You get a good day, you get into a series, and then anything can happen in the playoffs.
Look at the Rangers. Yep.
Well, I mean, Rangers were good all throughout of last year too, and they just
but they were a wild card team.
Yeah, but I mean, they were still 90+ wins. I think it's just you're just a wild card team because you happen to be in the same division as the Astros, who are putting up 97 wins or whatever too. So but that would be the same position we'd be in with the O's and the Yankees and the Rays and even potential. I don't think out of everybody in the division, I don't think the Blue Jays would hit 100, but I could very well see either of those other three hitting 100 this year.
Mm-hmm.
But we'll see. All right, so that's about all that we have. We can recap teams news and stuff. Do you have anything else here before we get into our little fun segment?
Well, yeah. I mean, I think very intrigued with this NFL offseason right now. I mean, Hunter Henry coming back, putting the tag on Duggar.
Transition tag.
Yep.
Yeah, but I mean, that was if we were going to re-sign, if we could only re-sign one person, I wanted it to be Duggar. I mean, I think that's also just you and me just love Duggar, and we have because he fits that hybrid like system that we have so well defensively, anyways. So I'm happy he's back. Hunter Henry, I don't know if I get that one too much, but if it was going to be him or Gesicki, I'm happy it's Henry instead because maybe Mayo is looking at, like, say you get a Jaden Daniels guy and you've got a quarterback that's a little more mobile and he's going to work a little more outside the pocket. Well, you've got your 5-0 lineman too, but now you take Hunter Henry, who you feel a little more comfortable staying on the line and, in some play action and stuff and being able to block better than Gesicki would be able to for a rookie quarterback who is going to be a little worried in the pocket to start the year, going to be a little antsy, it's going to take a little for him to make all of his reads and do all of that. So I think maybe he's trying to put all these pieces into play here, and trying to plan around Jaden.
Yeah, and I saw Dalton Schultz possibly linked.
He re-signed, though.
Did he?
He re-signed with Houston. Yeah, I think 3 years.
Well, yeah, they just, I mean, the other news, and I brought this up to you before we started, I just see that Jerry Jeudy was traded to Cleveland.
Yeah, for like a 5th and 6th too. I wish we would have got in on that. I know we were linked as one of the teams, but dude, for that price, come on.
Right. And so now they have Mike Evans resigning, franchise tags, T. Higgins with Cincinnati, Michael Pittman with Indianapolis. So now you're looking at Tyler Boyd, Calvin Ridley, which I saw some stuff. Yeah. And I'm not crazy about this, but Marquise Hollywood Brown.
I'm not crazy about that either, just because I think you need a guy that can just go up and get it a little more. Because we've got, Brown would want to come in and fill right into that slot route where Douglas is. Yeah, yep. And I'd rather keep DeMario on the contract we have him on and everything. But yeah, all throughout this week with all of this wide receiver news coming in, every time I go and look in the replies, it's always, looks like the Pats need to give out a bag to Calvin Ridley now, which I feel like, I like Calvin Ridley. I feel like we're going to end up overpaying for him, though, because we need a weapon. And he's like 29, and at times he didn't look so great last year. But our hands almost forced here. If we don't get Calvin, I don't know, you have to make a move to trade up into the first more, right? Or take a guy.
Well, remember, we talked, this is a deep, you have to take a wide receiver with your second
Brian Thomas, like we said, if he's there. But I've seen him getting pushed a little more up in mock drafts. I think a guy and he's not the biggest, but if Worthy does happen to drop to us in the second, I don't think it's going to happen. I can see him going somewhere in that 22 to 27 range. But if he happens to fall, I mean, you have to take a guy like Xavier Worthy there, right?
Yeah.
Or what'll be interesting, I think, and like I mentioned, how Mayo and there's reports coming out that if Jaden's not there at 3, we trade back. But if he's not there at 3, and you would have to trade back for a quarterback anyways, then why not go Marvin Harrison Jr. there? And just keep the second round pick, look for a quarterback there, or try to piece some stuff together with that second to move back into the first. Because it's a generational wide receiver prospect.
Yeah. I mean, but it's surprising that if Jaden is taken second, that we don't go for Drake May then.
Well, I mean, I know we love Drake May and we had him mocked to us in our first mock draft, but there's also, and I don't know how, accurate all of these reports are and everything. Obviously, everybody's going out there saying they've got their sources and they're saying shit around this time of the year. But there were some people just saying, I guess, that the Pats just don't really like Drake May. I don't know if it was something they looked more into tape after combine performances or something, but the love that was there, I don't think is there anymore after.
I listened to, again, part of my take, and they were talking about Chris Sims and him just saying that Drake is not a franchise quarterback. He's a potential. They put in Penix Jr., who I'm not in love with at all.
I don't like Penix at all either. No. I think we can agree on that.
Yeah.
Yeah. But I don't. I think if he had a little more mobility, maybe. But and then you also got to look at it with his injury history, and he is older. He's been in college for a while, and I don't know. I don't like Penix.
No.
If you're going Penix, you're probably looking at the same spot that like Bo Nix would be, and I want Bo instead.
I'd rather grab Bo. So I mean, hopefully what happens, although it's a quarterback driven league, but hopefully with Kirk Cousins getting someplace, Baker, if he stays in Tampa, obviously they're not going to pick somebody. Hopefully these wide receivers show up even better in the pro day. Everyone gets worried about wide receivers, and then maybe you can grab Bo with number, what I think was 34?
35 because we
35. We got 34 because in our mock we made a trade to grab that.
With the Cardinals. Yeah, that'd be cool. And I forget that the pro days are still going to impact this. So I think that would be best case scenario. The wide receivers show up a little more. You get some of the guys like the Adonai, I think is his name, Adonai Mitchell from Texas, the other Texas guy, AT Mitchell, I think. You get the guys like, Devontae Walker, some of those guys that could creep in end of the first.
And darn well that if you start seeing a bunch of these guys go off the board, the NFL is just going to copy that.
Mm-hmm.
And they're going to they're going to get worried and start grabbing guys, and it might have, a Bo Nix, who we would absolutely love to see in a New England uniform, but I mean, maybe he falls.
Well, maybe.
I mean, you always have one of those quarterbacks fall further than Will
Levis last year. Yeah. And you've got, and specifically like you're talking about wide receivers, I think that if anything is the position to do it, because almost every year we see a wide receiver run. I mean, last year we had it with the JSN, Quentin Johnston, and Jordan Addison, like all went right along each other. I mean, you date back to the year before that, I think, when you got Olave and all them too, and Wilson, and then I'm thinking of the Justin Jefferson year, with the Jefferson and the Rager and the Brandon Ayuk, so it happens, and those teams definitely get worried. So I guess we'll see. A lot of time until the draft. It'll be interesting. I guarantee you there's more moves made. Now, I know free agency actually starts, the new league year starts on Wednesday, so we'll see some free agency moves happen. But I don't think we're done in the trade market yet either before the draft.
I mean, through us, Washington, the draft goes through Washington. Got to see where they go.
Exactly. All right. Well, now then, we'll move on to our last segment. This was the one that we kind of hinted at in episode 9, but just didn't have the time, so we moved it over to this week. Kind of backstory as to what prompted this. So the new NCAA football game will be coming out this summer with a full reveal and trailer and stuff in May. So
minus Arch Manning.
Minus Archie Manning, yes. But we thought it's been 10 years since they have released a NCAA football game. So in that time, there have been a lot of good college football players. We've got 15 here. I picked 15 standout college football players, I think, over the last 10 years. Now, there were some guys that, kind of fell into this, the Jameis Winstons and the Marcus Mariotas. But if I remember correctly, they are still technically, they started in the game. They were there for NCAA 13 or 14. So we don't have them. These are just guys that started after that. But we've got, obviously, these are all college football legends. So we're going to rate them what their overall would be in the game if you had legacy players. However, since they're all legends, we can't give all these guys fucking 99s or anything like that because that's taking the easy way out. So 15 guys, we've got 3 overalls, 99, 98, 97, 96, 95. We got to go through here and place these 15 college football players in here properly. I will say, too, I don't think this is going to be a blind ranking one like we've done in the past. I think this is something where we should have, we should talk about this, and find where we think the best guys are so we can have the best ratings and the best list. So, we just want to go one by one here? Or do you want me to read? I can read through these guys and then we go from the top?
Yeah, why don't you read them off so at least everyone knows and could probably project where we might put them. Yeah. All
right. I'll do it not in this order that you're seeing, but by position here because I tried to group them a little bit. At quarterbacks, we got Joe Burrow from their national championship run, Trevor Lawrence. We've got Deshaun Watson, Baker Mayfield, Lamar Jackson. At running back, Saquon Barkley, Derrick Henry, Christian McCaffrey, Ezekiel Elliott, and Bijan Robinson. I think those are some of the best college running backs that we've had these last 10 years. I only put one wide receiver on the list in Devontae Smith because he was the guy to win the Heisman too, and I mean, incredible. I was thinking about putting Amari Cooper, but I held him off of this. And then we go a couple defensive guys, Joey Bosa, Myles Garrett off the edges there. We've got Isaiah Simmons, who was an absolute utility tool at Clemson, and then Jabril Peppers, who was also a utility tool at Michigan and finished second in Heisman voting his crazy year. So let's start off with Joe, with arguably one of the best college football teams of all time, maybe the best offense of all time with, Jamar and Justin and CEH there. I think everybody just loves Joe. Compared to the other quarterbacks that we have on this list, and keep in mind, I think Trevor didn't win a Heisman, but I think every other one of these guys did. Joe did, Baker did, Lamar did. Did Deshaun Watson win a Heisman?
I don't think so.
I don't think he did either. So that might be it. Maybe it's just he was, wait. Yeah. He was a finalist. He never won it. All right. So, yeah. Joe.
Now, all right. So where I put my first thought right now. So as we know the game, since we play Madden, and I'm taking that into consideration.
Like attributes?
Yeah. Well, so when you would know that you see a player and they have to grow throughout, right? Ramondre Stevens, for one. Okay. When his rookie year, I think he was 69.
Well, we're not talking about in Madden. This would be
just hear my thinking out. So Ramondre was nothing, his rookie, and then ended up, achieving better ratings as we go. I'm doing the same with Joe because when he was in Ohio State, he wasn't what he was in LSU.
He also didn't play.
He did play a little bit, but I don't think he was
barely.
But even if he was barely playing at Ohio State, do they look at him then going to LSU and having this incredible season because that was his senior year? I mean, is he right off the bat that 99? No.
That's true.
I would absolutely put him. I mean, if we're only doing 99 through 95, I would have given him even lower going into.
Okay. That's insane. That was the 2019 LSU team was insane.
It was, but we're looking at it at ranking him based on that 1 year.
So you're saying does that carry more than some of these other guys that I'm okay.
Exactly. That's where I would put. I mean, if we're only doing 95 through 99 with all these other guys, he's a 95.
Yeah, it hurts to say, but it makes sense because and Joe was incredible in his 1 year, but and he was decent. Oh my god, sorry, my contact is fucking up here. He was decent in the year before his junior year, but they weren't anything special. It was really that senior year that was just absolutely crazy. So,
all right, because he had the weapons.
Yeah, you made your case for it. We'll put Joe at a 95. I don't feel good about it, but I'm not going to feel good about putting any of these guys anywhere but a 99. I mean, they're all college football legends. All right, so then we'll move down the list here to Trevor Lawrence. Pretty long, successful Clemson career.
He beat out another kid as a freshman. He beat out Deshaun, right?
Well, I don't think he beat out Deshaun. I think Deshaun was just gone.
Mm-hmm.
I think it lined up perfectly. Trevor Lawrence, Clemson. Because Deshaun went 2017 draft with Mahomes, and then Clemson stats. Yeah, and then Lawrence came in 2018. So, it just lined up perfectly.
But he played as a freshman.
He was incredible as a freshman.
And
Deshaun, almost 3,300 yards, 30 touchdowns, 4 interceptions.
And wasn't Deshaun a senior that year or playing?
Deshaun was gone. That's what I'm saying. Deshaun was gone in 2017.
Okay.
It's a Kelly Bryant kid that ended up
going Kelly. Okay, there we go. Yes.
Yeah, but he just sucked anyway, so.
Yeah, that's right. I knew that there was a starter in place that then he came in and then took it over.
I like Trevor, and I'm thinking attribute-wise here, he was, phenomenal accuracy. Can't miss.
Yeah.
Yeah, great intangibles. He was very mobile in college. And you remember some of those, I think in the year that they went to go win the national championship, he had one incredible run. I think it was against like Ohio State or something, like 40 right down the middle. He could move a lot, incredibly accurate. He was just picking apart the defenses. Trevor was a great college quarterback. Now, it's just a matter of who I would put above him on this list. I know one that I definitely would. Yeah, maybe.
And
I might be fine putting him at the 99 or 98 at the minimum.
Yeah, because I was going to say we can only do three per. You said 98. I was going to say 97 right off the bat.
I just don't know if there's 6 guys that I would put ahead of him at 97 if he's the number 197. I think 98 is fine here.
98 is fine.
Okay. But he could be right on the edge for both, I think. We'll go Trevor Lawrence. All right. Moving on to number 3. Back to another Clemson quarterback, the one we were just talking about, Deshaun Watson. National champion, not a Heisman winner, but still phenomenal quarterback. I'm trying to look at it. 3 years at Clemson in his career, 10,168 yards, 90 touchdowns, 32 interceptions. So the thing about Deshaun, only played 8 games as a freshman, wasn't too bad or anything. I mean, 14-2 touchdown to interception ratio was great. It was really that he was carried by, I'd say, almost his 2016 year. He still finished in the Heisman voting, 3rd in 2015. He was 2nd in 2016. The only thing about him, though, and while he was dynamic, he threw almost too many interceptions for my liking. Is super mobile, though, so if you're thinking statistically, he's got to be up there just because of his playmaking. But the decision-making and stuff like that, and the fact that while some people will say he was robbed of both Heismans, he didn't win it. So it's almost to make me think you got to put him under Trevor, 97, 96.
I was going to say right off the bat a 96. Obviously, his college career helped him get where he was drafted, and you know, with and this record salary that he ended up finally getting with Cleveland in the end. Which I think obviously is a bust, and you're looking at now. But coming out of college, yes, below Trevor, either 97 or 96. I'm fine with whatever rating you want to give him. But
I put him at 9. I put him at 96. And I think that's fair, just because I think there's some guys that just did it all a little better, and I think that makes sense too. Because if I look at it, having him at a 97 with Joe at a 95, I don't feel good about. So I would put him at 96, and I got him there.
Okay.
All right, so we got 1 in 98, 1 in 96, 1 in 95, 99, 97 are still open. We'll move on to Baker Mayfield, Heisman winner in 2017. He was 4th in the voting 2015, 3rd in 2016. Obviously, he had 2013 year at Texas Tech. As a walk-on, and then transferred to Oklahoma and had some pretty good, consistent years. I mean, his accuracy in college was insane. If you look at his career totals, we'll go just at Oklahoma. 12,292 yards, 119 touchdowns to 21 interceptions. Didn't throw more than 9 in a season, and that 9 in a season was his freshman year at Texas Tech. Baker was fucking electric.
Baker was college football quarterback galore. Yep.
He was electric. Now, compared to some of these other quarterbacks, specifically, the Trevor, Deshaun, and Lamar, Baker wasn't necessarily moving like that. He wasn't running too much or anything. I mean, he had, 300. His most was 405 in a season in 2015. But still was rushing, when he needed to. Had a couple rushing touchdowns every year.
Well, this brings up an interesting thought that I just had right now. If you look at the college game right now, you definitely, which is as well going into the NFL, a mobile type of quarterback. So if the game comes out now with that in mind, with you need a mobile type of quarterback, Baker obviously would be lower ranked based on the style of the game is.
Good point.
But yet, throwing only 29 interceptions at 6 foot.
21. Yeah. 6'1", 220.
I'm going to say 97.
I think that's high. Well, this is weird because now it's like, where do you place these guys? Because we've got 3 quarterbacks on the list. So it's Trevor at 98, Deshaun at 96, and Joe at 95. And where does Baker fit in that trio?
But he won a Heisman. He
did win the Heisman. You're right. You know what? I was going to put him at 96, but the Heisman and the two-time Big 12 Offensive Player of the Year, actually.
Yeah.
I think when you take that, I think he goes in at a 97. That makes sense. All right. I like that. So now we got 4 quarterbacks on the list, and we're all in different overalls here. This is good, though. We're keeping some spots open for us. All right. Next one, we'll just go to the other quarterback. And this was the guy that I think I think, oh my God, wait, I was just looking. I forgot. Joe Burrow threw fucking 60 touchdown passes in 2019. It sucks that he didn't have more years because he could have been a 99, 60.
Well, yeah. And again, if he would have had more years, I would have rated him, but he didn't produce over as many years as these other guys have.
Yeah. So the next guy, their last quarterback on the list, this is the guy that I think, now his stats might not jump off the page to you but as a dynamic player and what he was doing, and a Heisman winner here too, Louisville quarterback Lamar Jackson. I think in like you're saying, in the style of the game that it is now, Lamar Jackson undoubtedly would be a 99, his legacy car. This dude ran for 1,600 yards as a quarterback in his Heisman year. And, oh, wait, you thought that was a fluke? No, year before, 1,571 yards. 21 touchdowns in 2016 on the ground, 18 on the ground in 2017. While, he wasn't slinging it, passing it, or anything like that, I think this is an easy 99.
Oh, yeah, I agree as well. I mean, again, also, you got to look at then the style of the offense that they were running.
Mm-hmm.
And yet he helped get Malik Cunningham afterward there. I mean, he brought Louisville football to
relevance.
And
it's a good point. The scheme that they were playing, not only did he, I think help bring Malik there, the way that they instilled the offense around Lamar and that whole scheme that then carried over to Malik made Malik an incredible college quarterback too. I mean, obviously nowhere close to this list, but it helped him in his growth there at Louisville too. So yeah, I think
should the Patriots have held on to Malik Cunningham?
No. That was easy. Okay. So that's all the quarterbacks. Very cool. We've got them all spread out here.
Oh,
we got one on every single overall. 99 Lamar Jackson, 98 Trevor Lawrence, 97 Baker, 96 Deshaun, 95 Joe. So we're done with the QBs. We'll move on to some running backs here. Number 1, Penn State Saquon Barkley from 2015 to 2017. Out of the running backs on this list in their college career, I think he might be 1 or 2. The only other one that I think I would put above him would be Zeke at Ohio State. So
Penn State did not have a quarterback. You knew the offense was Saquon, and he still did it for him.
Still did. 18 touchdowns on the ground in both 2016 2017. He came in, still only played 11 games as a freshman, still ran for over 1,000 yards, 8 total touchdowns. He had 1,903 scrimmage yards in 2017, 21 total touchdowns. Like you're saying, too. He finished 4th in Heisman voting. Big Ten Offensive Player of the Year in 2016 and 2017, and then drafted 2nd overall as a running back in the 2018 draft.
And when that doesn't happen.
Yeah, he's very impressive. But like I said, I think Zeke would be the only other college running back I'm taking over him here. I think I want to put Saquon at a 97.
90.
You think higher?
I think 98.
98?
The offense. He was the offense.
That's fine. I can do with that too. We'll put him at 98. That's cool. All right.
I guess then we can just skip right now to Ezekiel, and he's a 99.
To Zeke, and he's got to be a 99. I mean, for the listeners here, let me pull this shit up because he was just didn't do anything in his freshman year, but they were stacked. But then 2014. And he only won Offensive Player of the Year in 2015, actually, and came in 8th in Heisman voting that year. 2014, as a sophomore, 1,878 rushing yards on the ground, 18 rushing touchdowns, 220 yards through the air. And then in 2015, 1,821 rushing yards, 23 touchdowns on the ground, 206 yards through the air. over 2,000 scrimmage yards in both 2014 2015 when he was a full-time starter, and then en route to getting drafted 4th overall by the Cowboys there. He was a fucking wrecking ball at Ohio State.
And you know what? I mean, when you don't think, I think because where the Cowboys used him in the ground, not really as a passing option. And when I was just looking up the Patriots stuff and talking about free agent, potential wide receivers or trades or wherever, Ezekiel Elliott led us last year with 51 catches.
Yeah. And at 28 years old or whatever he's not too.
Yeah.
Now, granted, nothing about his NFL career matters in this segment.
Exactly. But you would have to be able to put him up above, anyway, Saquon because of his ability to catch the ball out of the backfield.
I'm not putting him. Wait, hold on. You're taking Zeke as a third down back, college Zeke as a third down back over Saquon Barkley?
No. What I'm saying is we're putting him above Saquon anyway because of the fact that he can catch the ball.
So can Saquon. Saquon, I would argue, is a better pass catching back than Zeke at Penn State. In the league, 100%, Saquon's a better receiving back. At Penn State, I think I'd still give him the edge, but Zeke was a good receiving back there. But I just think he was just so dominant on the ground that's what gets him above to the 99 over Saquon. Is a national champion, too.
Yeah.
I mean, that's more of a team thing, so I'm not giving that to these guys. As like the Heisman, if they win that obviously gives them more reason, Baker at 97 than a national championship. But he was a big part of that team.
Well, I mean, again, we agree Zeke is at 99.
At 99. Next running back. So this one's weird. All right. Derrick Henry obviously won the Heisman in 2015 at Alabama. 395 rushing attempts. Is crazy. 2,219 yards on the ground, 28 rushing touchdowns, caught 91 yards through the air, all-purpose yards 2310 with 28 total touchdowns. His sophomore year, I think he might have been in a timeshare here, but 172 attempts for 990 and 11 touchdowns, 5 receptions for 133 and 2 touchdowns through the air. And then freshman year, he played 10 games, 35 rushes for 382 and 3. He was part of a committee there. Derrick Henry, when you think about him, the fucking unit, obviously, he couldn't get tackled in college.
Right.
And as a Heisman, you almost think you want to put him higher up there. But, I think my argument here is if we're putting Joe down all the way at 95, even though he throws 60 touchdowns and has an incredible 1 year. Yeah, Henry was a piece of the team in 2013 and more of a piece in 2014, carried by his 2015 Heisman year. It might be a hot take, but I almost just want to put Derrick at a 96.
I think that Derrick, because of what he produced, helped create, than a big back out of that would want to go to Alabama. I'd have to say he's a 97 as well.
Well, I don't want to get too ahead on it before we rate the next guy, but the next one right on the list is CMC at Stanford. So here's where I think you have to put Derrick at 96 because I think you have to put CMC one ahead of him. And Saquon's already in there at 98. Zeke's in there at 99. I think Christian could be a 97. Derrick a 96. Bijan probably a 95. I think that fits. But do you like CMC, Stanford CMC, or Alabama Derrick Henry more in that 1 year?
I like Christian better.
Christian more?
Absolutely.
So you fine with Derrick at 96 then?
Well, yeah. I wouldn't put Bijan over Derrick.
I wouldn't either.
Yeah. So if we're doing one per and then not taking up our other potential spots in 97 and all based on where do you put people,
Where
then I'll agree with you. Yeah.
All right.
Because we got
Derek
some phenomenal
we got some
defensive
heavy
players
hitters.
Here. Yeah.
Derek at 96, CMC, then we just talked about that at 97. I mean, you talk about this guy really quickly. Freshman year didn't do much, obviously. Most of them don't. But sophomore year, he was second in Heisman voting 2015, ninth in 2016. As a sophomore, 2015, 2019 yards on the ground, 8 touchdowns, and then 645 yards through the air, 5 touchdowns there, 2664 total scrimmage yards. Only 13 total touchdowns, but I think they were spreading it around a little more too. And they're playing in Pac-12. They weren't fucking running up too much there. And then in 2016, 1603 on the ground, 13 touchdowns through the air, 310 receiving yards, 3 touchdowns through the air. I meant 13 touchdowns on the ground before. 3 through the air, 1913 total scrimmage yards, 16 total touchdowns. Yeah, I mean, we just talked about this. This is strictly placing him at 97 because I think he was just a little more. Stanford CMC was just a tad more dynamic than the one big year of Derrick Henry, and that's where we're placing all these guys. So
yeah, and I think he just again transitioned or transformed a running back coming out of the backfield, and he still ran very hard when he had a run. Yes, it was a Pac-10 defense, but still, you're playing Notre Dame every year, and he had some good games. So, yeah.
So then that leads us into our last running back, which we also just discussed, Bijan. Obviously, Bijan was a great running back there at Texas. He had been in a committee throughout his first 2 years. He, was great last year, and that's why he got picked 8th overall by the Falcons. And look what he did this year in the league, too. But I just think when you're paired up, I mean, even with an incredible year, 1894 total scrimmage yards, 20 total touchdowns. But when you're up against Ohio State Zeke Elliott, Penn State Saquon Barkley, Stanford CMC, Alabama Derrick Henry, you're getting slotted in at 95 at the bottom there. So
yeah, and again, his standout one year. So if we say Derrick had a standout 1 year, Bijan as well. So,
but Derrick's 1 year was better than Bijan. So
exactly, Yep.
Okay, so we're done with all of the running backs. Damn, now that I look at this, maybe I shouldn't have done Devontae. Maybe we should have done 5 running backs, 5 quarterbacks, 5 defensive guys, because we might place them all in here perfectly, that everybody has a quarterback, everybody has a running back, and everybody would have a defensive guy. And then you could look at these and be like, which of these teams would win? That would be cool.
That would be.
Do you want to get rid of Devontae? Can you think of another great defensive player in the last 10 years outside of Joey Bosa, Jabril Peppers, Myles Garrett, Isaiah Simmons?
The Clowney.
He was in the game. He was too far back.
Oh,
I know. That was going to be the one that I would have done instead of Devontae, but he got in there in 2013 or something, I think.
What about Nick? Nick Bosa.
Could go Nick, but I think...
Or what about a Watt?
TJ. How was TJ? Let's look at...
Oh, I think TJ.
TJ only had 1 year. Or 2 years, but sophomore year he did nothing. Fuck, man, there's... I want to be able to get one of these guys. A different guy here. You'd think you would know. And there was a lot of the guys when I made this list were like those guys that were just outside of it, like the Jadeveon Clowney, Manti Te'o. Like
I was going to say Manti Te'o.
He's also too late. Best defensive college football players of the last 10 years. Okay. No, stupid. This'll do. Holy shit. Okay, there's shit. He was too early. Joey Bosa, Ed Oliver from Houston. I don't think he was too. We could go Chase Young too.
Oh,
Chase
yeah.
Young was almost on my list.
Yep.
Yeah. I think that either him, there's Minka Fitzpatrick. That's it. Between those two, I think I'm going Chase Young, right?
I think Chase Young.
All right. We'll make a switch. We're taking out Devontae.
Well, why don't while we do that, I'm going to Google then wide receivers so we can put a wide receiver in too.
The best 10?
Yeah.
Or the best 5 of the last 10 years? Yeah, go ahead. I mean, we got Devontae in there, but figure that. I mean, I'm sure Jamar or Justin Jefferson's in there too. Amari Cooper, I think, is in there too. But anyways, so defensive guys then. First one on the list here is Joey Bosa. Joey, Ohio State Joey, also there at the same time that Zeke was. He was drafted 3rd overall in the 2016 draft by the Chargers. Joey was pretty great. 42 total tackles in his freshman year, 55 sophomore, 51 his junior year. Totaled 26 sacks over his time at Ohio State, and only 1 interception. But those numbers don't really do justice as to how much of a presence he was on that defensive line, helping them get towards that national championship. 2-time All-American and 2014 Big Ten Defensive Player of the Year. I like Joey. I think out of these 5 guys, I have Joey ranked 4th, maybe. He might be 5th. Where do you have him among these defensive guys? Actually, I think
based in college, I would probably say, quickly looking at the list again, I would say, well, 4th or 5th. Yeah.
I'd say 5th just because it would be between, I think, him
and
I
Chase forgot Young. I forgot we just put Chase in. Yeah, so 5th.
5th. Okay. So we'll put him there at 95. I think that makes sense then. All right, on to the next one. Isaiah Simmons. Now, Isaiah was so fun at Clemson. And, I mean, it hasn't fully translated to the league yet, but he did go 8th overall to the Cardinals. 2019 was his crazy year where he won Defensive Player of the Year and got All-American that year. 104 total tackles, 16.5 tackles for loss, 8 sacks, 3 interceptions, and 2 forced fumbles. That was freshman year. He didn't do much. 2017, sophomore year, he was kind of just a piece. 2018, he was definitely a presence with 88 tackles, 9 tackles for loss, 2 sacks. He is kind of carried by that 2019 year, but that was one of the greatest college defensive years I think we've seen, right? With his versatility at his position.
Yep.
And we said Joey at 95. I think I like Isaiah at 97 or 96. Oh, yeah. Well, I was just going to say. The hell, Craig? Oh, he's back. He's back. I was going to say, I think he would maybe be 3 or 4 between him and Chase. But actually, I don't know. You could maybe put him right there with Myles Garrett. You said 98 or 97?
97.
97. I think we can both land on 97. That's good. Isaiah Simmons. All right. On to our last 2 defensive guys. Texas A&M's Myles Garrett, first overall pick in the 2017 draft to the Browns. 12.5 tackles for loss in his freshman year, 11 sacks, 19.5 tackles for loss in his sophomore year, 11.5 sacks, 15 tackles for losses in his junior year, 8.5 sacks. He had 1 interception in his sophomore year, too. 1-time All-American. I think that was in 2015. Myles was a unit. Absolute unit, just straight as soon as he got to Texas A&M. I mean, as a freshman, 11 sacks in 11 games is quite impressive. I think we both know who we're gonna put at the 99 as the number one defensive guy. And so that makes me think either Miles is a 98 or a 96. So technically like 2 or 4 here. I think I'm fine with putting him in a 98. Just for the consistency of the 3 years being that much of a presence in the defensive backfield.
Yeah.
Do you agree with that there?
I do.
Okay.
I'm sorry. I'm also trying to look here. So when was the game?
2014 was the last one.
2014. Okay.
Yeah. I mean, the game released in 2013, but all right, so there's Myles Garrett, 98. So now we're down to our last 2 defensive guys, and I don't even think we need to look this up really or go through these stats too much. Chase Young is the one we just added, so we'll keep the last one. Chase at a 96, better than Joey, right under Isaiah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I mean, he still put up incredible sack numbers, I'm pretty sure. Let me look at this again. 3.5 in his freshman year, 10.5 in his sophomore year, 16.5 in his junior year, 21 tackles for loss. But you can't put him up there with like Miles just because of the fact that Miles had the 3 dominant years there, I think. So we'll put Chase at 96, and that leaves us with our New England Patriot, but one of the coolest college football guys that I can think of the last like 10 years. One of the funnest guys to watch, Jabril Peppers at Michigan. His year, he finished 5th in Heisman voting in 2016. Now, granted, he didn't do much in his freshman year, but it's actually so cool. If you look at his stats here, in 2014 they had him listed as a DB. 2015 he was listed as a safety. 2016 he was listed as a linebacker. 13 tackles for loss, 66 total tackles, 3 sacks, 1 interception in 2016. But he was also doing it all with returning, 170 yards from scrimmage, rushing and receiving, 3 touchdowns, and then punt and kick returns. He put up, almost 570 yards between kicks and punts returns in that year. I know he's kind of carried by a year, but I think the versatility of him, if he were to be in the game right now as a legacy guy, I think Jabril Peppers from 2016 is absolutely a 99 defensive guy.
Oh, yeah, and he played some offense as well, punt return. So I think, if you could put him as well on an offense, that'd be kind of cool if you could throw him in there and see what he could do.
Oh, yeah. Could you imagine like a running back or like slot receiver or something? That would be super fun. All right. Have you found our receivers?
I think I found some guys that are well, obviously Devontae's in there. There's a list. I just pulled up top, 30 wide receivers, and it says of the past century, but one guy who I'm looking up here they have ranked number 25, but he was pretty good at Notre Dame, Michael Floyd.
He was before. He's drafted 2012.
Oh, okay.
I'm going through this with you here too. So there's guys.
Oh,
D.D. Westbrook.
Yes.
D.D.
Westbrook.
Okay. Yeah, he won the Biletnikoff. But he was just a 4th round pick, I know, in 2017. He just had like that 1 year, but he was definitely up there. Calvin
CD
Ridley.
Lamb. CD Lamb.
CD, I think, is definitely one. We'll put CD in that list. Dez was before. Dez went in like 2009 or something.
Well, Jamar Chase, you got to put him in there.
Yeah. We'll put Jamar. AJ Green was before. No. Amari. So Amari's a weird one because Amari, I think he got drafted in 2014, so he might be out of our range here, but he would be a great one to have. Jerry Jeudy.
Yep.
We'll put Jerry Jeudy.
Damn. I wish this guy didn't have an NFL career, but was
Justin Blackmon.
Yes.
Yes, he would maybe be number one. He was great. Oh, and then Michael Crabtree. He's just too far out. He would be number one. Yeah, and then there's Devontae. So we need one more. How did Justin Jefferson do? I'm trying to think of his. Let me look this up. We could go Jettas. Possibly. Well, I mean, Justin really only just had that 1 year with Jamar too. Why is it so hard to think about a fucking different wide receiver in the last 10 years that was that great? Marquise Brown. He was kind of good at Oklahoma. There's Calvin Ridley. I'd almost like Calvin Ridley too. He was pretty good at Alabama. What are you thinking here?
Yeah, I mean, they have Jeff Samardzija.
No.
Number 30, but yeah, he was too old as well. Yeah, put Calvin in.
We'll put Calvin just because, I mean, and he wasn't like the flashiest, but he was still like consistent. I mean, if you look at his stuff, 89 for 1045 and 7 in 2015, 72 for 769 and 7 in 2016, 63 for 967 and 5 in 2017. We'll put Calvin, but I think that makes it pretty easy for us that Calvin's probably 95. He's
95,
the last one.
Yep.
Okay. So we'll put Calvin Ridley. Devontae, I think we can all agree out of this group would be the 99 with his Heisman year. I mean,
yeah,
that's like
again, because we already made the precedence that you win a Heisman, you're above everybody else.
Well, that and it's like one of the greatest
individual performances.
Yeah. All right, so 99. So that leaves us with CD, Jamar, and Jeudy. Now I love me some Jamar Chase, but it's almost like when paired up against these two, like Chase was good in college, but he was also he had that
1 year wonder.
He had the 1 year with Burrow. He was a freshman in 2018, so didn't do much. And then he sat out 2020 and then went for the combine. So I think Jamar
96.
You could almost 96. You could almost make an argument that Calvin would be above him, but I think just the year that he had, 1780 yards, 20 touchdowns through the air. I think you put Jamar at a 96. So put Jamar Chase there. And then that leaves us with CD and Jeudy for 98, 97. CD was very good, but Jerry Jeudy from Alabama might be one of my favorite like time periods for a wide receiver ever. His route running was impeccable there. He was making SEC defenders look silly every play. Now, obviously, CeeDee Lamb's like the better wide receiver now once we get into the league, but I think that Jeudy right under Devontae at 98 makes sense.
And again, if it wasn't for Jerry, I don't think you'd have Devontae or be able to do what Devontae did.
That, and it's still something crazy to think about, which is probably more reason why we have both these Alabama guys in the same year at 99 and 98. They were doing all of this also with Henry Ruggs there, and I think Jalen Waddle overlapped too in 2019.
Mm-hmm.
You got 4 great receivers, and granted, yes, it's Alabama. They're slinging it and everything, but to put up those numbers, I mean, Devontae's numbers and Jerry both hitting, over 1,000 doing what they did. Jerry had freaking double-digit touchdowns in 2019 too. I think that places them there perfectly, and then CD goes at 97. All right. So, are you ready for this?
I am ready.
Cool. All right. So, Team 99, Louisville, Lamar Jackson, Ohio State, Ezekiel Elliott, Michigan, Jabril Peppers, and Devontae Smith, and then defense, Jabril Peppers. Team 98, Clemson, Trevor Lawrence, Penn State, Saquon Barkley, Alabama, Jerry Jeudy, and Texas A&M, Myles Garrett. Team 97, Oklahoma, Baker Mayfield, Stanford, CMC, Oklahoma, CeeDee Lamb, and Clemson, Isaiah Simmons defensively. Team 96, Clemson, Deshaun Watson, Alabama, Derrick Henry, LSU, Jamar Chase, Ohio State, Chase Young on the defensive end. And then Team 95, you've got your LSU, Joe Burrow, Texas, Bijan Robinson, Ohio State, Joey Bosa defensively, and the wide receiver was Alabama, Calvin Ridley. How do you feel about that? While I make up something really cool here for us. Hold on.
All right. First off the bat, I'm picking Team 97 to win it.
To win it all?
Yeah.
I don't know. That's what I'm actually making up here. I'm making a little like bracket. But okay, so you'd have almost a bye. I don't even need the bracket. So if you gave like a bye to Team 99 being the best, Team 98
plays 95.
Trevor, Barkley, Jeudy, Garrett against Burrow, Bijan, Bosa, Ridley. I think Team 98 probably just wipes them there.
Yeah.
I think that one's pretty easy. So you get rid of 95, you get then 96, 97. So Baker, CMC, CeeDee Lamb, Isaiah Simmons versus Deshaun, Derrick Henry, Jamar Chase, Chase Young. Yeah, I think you still take 97 there easily. So then who would play 99 in that? Because now you have three teams.
Yeah, that's a tough thing, but I guess it'd have to be 97 because of the lower seed.
Lower seed. No, dude, I don't know. I don't think I can take Team 97 over 99 there. Lamar and Baker, it's almost a wash. Zeke, CMC, I'm giving the edge to Zeke there, but I mean, CMC was still incredible. Devontae was just that season, his Heisman season, everything was just worlds above CD, I think. And Jabril and Isaiah are essentially the same sort of tool gadget player. I think I call that one like a wash too, almost. So I slightly give it to 99, I think, but make your case for 97.
I like 97 team only because of the fact that we can throw it off to, I mean, the combination right there of Baker with CD, Oklahoma. Okay, you already have that. And then you can throw off to CMC. I mean, who's Isaiah going to cover at that point? Isaiah Simmons going to cover at that point.
Isaiah Simmons is on that 97 team. You mean who's Jabril?
I mean, Jabril's going to cover at that point. Yeah.
I mean, yeah, you probably. I mean, granted, in this situation, it's 11 on 11, and like these are the main guys. But you probably have Jabril shadowing CMC, so CD could go crazy.
Yeah.
But I mean, same thing for.
And then defensively, I mean, Simmons is just gonna watch Lamar. He's gonna ghost him.
He could watch Lamar, but you could ghost him. But then if you take that Lamar in that like option offense that they were running with Ohio State, Ezekiel Elliott, bowling ball, like I think that would be the thing. I think like you can't stop a read option with those two. So I slightly give it to 99, but it's a close game, I think.
Yeah.
And then that would match up 99 versus 98. And I think that's still 99. I think if 98 maybe had one of those tool gadget guys like Isaiah Simmons or Jabril Peppers, maybe, but with them having Myles Garrett, I mean Lamar can just simply outrun Myles Garrett, and then that 98 team is getting toasted over the top by Devontae Smith.
Maybe,
right?
Yeah. It would be fun if we could have then filled the whole damn team out.
Yeah, that would take hours. I mean, we've almost went 2 here already, but
yeah.
No, but okay. So Team 99 is our winner of that. Then maybe I'll make a little. Oh,
You gotta put this.
I'm gonna put this on Instagram. I'm totally gonna
Yeah,
make
yeah.
pictures of all these, and then we'll do a. I'll put up the bracket. That's cool. That'll be some content we'll get up for this because this was a cool segment. I know we kind of just went along with this and we threw in the wide receivers in there, but that was really fun. And
Yeah.
I think we got
and see if you guys agree with what we said.
yeah.
Make
If
comments.
If you think one of these other teams would win, if you're strictly behind Team 95 and you're riding Joe Burrow, Bijan, Ridley,
I'm on
and Bosa,
97. I'm on Team 97.
You're on 97. I'm taking 99. That would be cool. Dude, one day, oh, fuck. If they end up bringing legacy cards into this game, something like this, we totally need to make these teams and play against each other. We'll stream it on Twitch and stuff. That would be so cool.
That would be fun.
You would get your Team 97. I would get my Team 99. Oh, man, that would be awesome.
And then another round of golf.
Yep.
To the winner.
Yeah, I like it. The usual. We'll just start calling that the usual wager. What do we bet? The usual.
The usual round of golf.
Awesome. Well, I mean, this certainly went longer than we thought it would, but I mean, like we said at the start of this episode, we had just a bunch of shit to go through, a bunch of stuff to throw at y'all, and had a bunch of fun with it.
And I think
on Sundays is nice. We have no time restrictions.
Yeah, I kind of like that Sunday.
Yeah. All right. Well, before we wrap up here, do you have anything else to say in conclusion about any of the weekend recaps? Maybe give us a little update on the Arnold Palmy.
Oh, Scotty's at -13.
-13. Let's go.
And Wyndham dropped back to even. He's at -8.
Oh, yeah, he might be running away with this now.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's Scotty's to lose, it looks like.
Yeah.
Well, good. It looks like we were able to make a call on it before the end of the weekend, or we still got it in there in like the weekend recap. So that's funny. All right. Well, that'll conclude episode 10 here. Thank you guys so much for listening, sticking around, showing us some support to get us all the way to double digits. This is awesome, and we've been having a ball. We will be back with episode 11 next week on Monday, usual recording and everything.
Because that's a big day. Yeah.
Yeah, because we got selection Sunday next Sunday. So next week, definitely tune into the episode. Most of the whole episode, I think, is just going to be me and Dad here filling out our bracket. And we'll be creating up that group on ESPN Tournament Challenge once those open up on Sundays. So you guys can hear our reasoning for what we're picking for our bracket on Monday and see if you can beat us. It'd be a lot of fun.
Yeah. And quickly shout out again, how can they make comments about this NCAA football ranking?
Comments about this or comments about anything else in our episode can be directed to us on the social media platforms. We're on Twitter and Instagram at A New Era Podcast. Emails A New Era Podcast at gmail.com. I was having a fucking stroke or something. A New Era Podcast at gmail.com. You can send anything our way there too. Or if you're on Spotify, just swipe up a little bit for me and you'll be seeing a comment there right at the bottom, a little Q&A, and you can send something to us right there too. But that's it now. Now we're good. We got it through everything. So we go ahead.
I'm good.
You're good. All right. We appreciate you guys, and we'll catch you next week.
Love you, son.
Love you, Dad.